Well, hi, and welcome
Hey,
to Business Unusual. I'm Liz Whitehead, co-mastermind at Diversity Masterminds, and I'm here with Julia Westfall from Hera Hub DC. Hi,
hi, how are
Julia.
you?
Good,
You too.
good. So we're going to talk about what we do when business unusual becomes business as usual. But before we get to that, tell me a little bit about Hera Hub DC and what you do there.
Well, we are a co-working space, female focused. Most of our members are professional women with their own businesses, much like yours. A lot of service-based companies, but we also do have a woman has a gluten-free bakery, and just a really wide variety of women that are part of our community. And since well, and obviously since the pandemic started, we haven't had as many people co-working here, although right now we are open just to members. But we really are also a community to support each other in helping our members grow and scale their businesses and make connections and network and things like that. So that's where I spend the majority of my time doing. Uh, so it's been a really interesting time having a co-working space now when people are really working primarily from home. So
Yeah, yeah. Tell us about it. Tell us about, what previous crises have you been through that either prepared you for this or didn't? And, what's it been like running a co-working space when everybody's working from home?
well, the I don't think I'd really had, having my own business. I started this in the last 5 years. And so this is really kind of the first time that I've really had one of those outside events. I mean, everybody has I don't know how many people have worked their businesses through the Lean Canvas business model, but what you kind of plan your business and what your business model is going to look like, what your offerings are going to be, and that sort of thing. And then there's always the discussion about outside forces. What are things that happen outside outside of your business model that you can't control, and how are you going to respond to it? And this is really the first time since I've had Hera Hub that I've had a situation like this. Of course, we had financial downturns and things like that previously, but this is really the first time since I opened Hera Hub in May of 2015. So I'm finding I'm learning like everybody else.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? How are we going to make it different? And how are we going to adjust to stay relevant and still serve our community? And because now more than ever, we really need to feel part of a bigger community because we've lost that opportunity to see each other in person and connect that way. So I think that it's even more important now than it was before to have people that you can rely on to give you honest feedback and to support you and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where we are in this whole scheme of things. We've taken all of our programming online, all of our networking events, and everything. Just last week we had a great business acceleration expo where we had almost 100 people participating and 8 educational sessions and guru hours, and it was really a great experience. So very successful. Something that we've done previously in person. Now we have really had success at doing it online, and I'm sure we'll continue to do those types of things.
Great. Yeah. One of the things I always talk about on this is about cash, community, and connections.
Hmm.
And so I think Hera Hub does a really good job with all those things. You have your pitch competition where people can win cash. You have the community, which that's one of the things that I learned when we weren't going in there was that Hera Hub still provided a lot of community for me as a member. And then of course the connections. You're an incredible connector, so
Yeah.
you're always doing that for members. So it's always something that people need.
Well, that's something I really enjoy, and what's been really interesting is the amount of connections we now have with people on the West Coast. And you did a great webinar for this NAVO San Diego for Felina Hansen, who's our founder out there. We have multiple locations on the West Coast for people who are not familiar with Hera Hub. And she invited Liz on. Liz did an awesome job and talking about all the about certifications and why you should get one, and all of that whole thing was very valuable. And I know that you probably will make some great connections out of that for yourself, and hopefully get some good business out of it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, you know, it's like a co-working space, but with connections to the West Coast. So it's
Yeah.
fantastic. So what
Well,
about some of your members? What are some of the things that your members are doing to pivot and stay relevant, and the things that you mentioned that Hair Hub's doing?
well, yeah, I think the whole thing is really just trying to take, meet your customers where you can. It's almost, it used to be meet your customers where they are. Well, we all know where they are.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of meet them where you can. And, I have some people whose businesses has just have kind of dissipated, which is really unfortunate. Some people's businesses, though, have really ratcheted up. One of our members has a digital marketing company, and her business is just going gangbusters because she's doing these weekly half-hour free sessions on real topics and very specific things about building your website or getting started on social media. What are the different platforms? And she's reaching a lot of people that she otherwise would not have reached, most likely if she tried to do them in person or something like that. And I don't think that people would be as open to an ongoing series of Thursday afternoon at 4:30, get your dose of marketing skills, if we weren't all having to think about, how am I going to market my business differently? How am I going to reach my customer? And I'm actually doing a session tomorrow afternoon on rediscovering your customer. It's going to be free online session, and because a lot of times people's customers have changed, you know, so you have to find your customer again and make sure that you're serving them in the best possible way that you can. And then the following week, I'll do one on your business model, because it really takes some work to think through, how am I going to transition? Is this a temporary thing, or is it going to be a long-term change?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have kind of are working through now with Hera Hub. It was easy for us to take our programming and connect, our networking things online, but there's a difference between doing that as a stopgap measure or doing that now as part of our real business model that will continue into the future. And how do we figure that out?
Yep.
So I think a lot of people are in that same boat. I mean, I think what you were doing with your diversity masterminds was really great because you were already doing it online.
Right.
So it just now, but now people are looking more for online programming, I think, sometimes than they were looking for in person. So
yeah, I think people are going to have that hunger for in-person connection again. I saw that you were doing your in-person social distance brown bag lunch, and that's
yes.
coming up.
I've had several members, and we do have, we have had 3 or 4 people here today, just co-working. I'm here 3 days a week. And that's been really great to actually see people in person. And I think it's been really helpful for people the first time people come in, they're like, oh, this is really odd and strange. And it feels really different. And then the second time they come in, it feels better. It feels different, but it's better. And, people have different risk tolerances, but people tell me they get so much work done, even if they come in for just 2 hours, how they're able to clear their mind, get away from their, all of the activity that's going on in their homes and really focus. And I'm glad that I can have them feel confident that the space is safe and they'll, and that we're taking the proper precautions, because I think that alleviates a lot of the fear that people have. So I've had several people say, can we do like a socially distanced in-person brown bag? And I'm like, absolutely. We got lots of room to spread out. We'll limit the number of people, and I'll do it weekly, if there's enough interest for those people who are really kind of ready to venture out, but into a place that they're comfortable with. So, they're not like going to some strange, a different location that they're not familiar with. But I do agree with you. I think people are really going along for that in-person connection before this is over. And people tell me that all the time. It's just nice to come in and see somebody in person, even if they've got a mask on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and, just pivoting to another thing that's not different than it was before, but certainly more in our consciousness and our awareness is the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
And we've talked about what Hera Hub does for Black Lives Matter. So what other things have you all done to show solidarity with that movement?
Well, I think, one of the things that I think is just so important, is to make sure that we reach out to the people in our community that that are part of that community, Black and Brown community, or any minority really, and make sure that they feel welcome in our space, welcome in our programming, welcome in our in our events and that sort of thing, because I think that and it's on us to make people feel welcome. It's not on other people to try to feel like they have to insert themselves, into it. It's our job as business owners to welcome people. And, when you're talking about the pitch event, for the last 2 years of 2018, 2019, I was, when you look at the group of founders that pitched, it was a really great, diverse group both years. And the winner of both of our pitches that went on to represent in San Diego and and took the San Diego prize home were both started by Black women. But it wasn't because of that they were selected. They had a fabulous business idea, and they're doing really well, and they're very successful. And I think we just, that's important to have that mindset that that there are lots of great people out there with great businesses and great business ideas that may not look like us, but we should really embrace that and go with that. And I think that's been Hera Hub's kind of mission from the beginning, is to create an environment where women in particular, but also we have men who are members, feel welcome. Again, I don't know why that word is just kind of coming to me so much, but I think that as a person, that's what I can really do in support of the movement, is make sure my space and the culture here and our member culture is welcoming to everybody. So, and I don't think that it's, a one-time sort of event that you have, or, a posting about somebody to celebrate their business. It has to be a continual way you live your life and the way you work with people on a day-to-day basis. To me, it's the day-to-day stuff that really matters. And that, because I think that's where, daily, when people feel diminished, it's a daily thing.
Yeah, I really appreciated, one, that the winners of the pitch competitions were two amazing Black women back to back, and then went on to win the whole thing nationwide.
Yeah.
But then also I remember, you also sent out something like, we have a member, Shelly Bell from Black Girl Ventures, and you can support a number of great Black-owned businesses by supporting her.
Right.
And she was a member of Hera Hub. And I think exactly like you're saying, it's sort of it's been conscious from the beginning, so that when you have these opportunities, you're like, we have these members that are doing these great things, so you can support people. You're in the community.
Yeah. And Shelly's doing she's really done some amazing work. And she's very inspirational in what she does. And she's gotten a lot of new sponsors, as a result of the Black Lives Matter, which is all going directly to support Black and Brown women in business, directly. And so that's what we need to do, is just encourage that. Well, and I also wanted to mention that since I didn't have the Hera Fast Pitch again this year, just because of the pandemic, we did support the Women's Venture Summit, which was the San Diego event. They're now doing regional events. So they did their regional Northeast region event last Tuesday, and I was on the judging panel, and Dawn Myers with the Mint, and she's also the Veneta DC project, DC community manager now. She won. And so she's going to go represent the Northeast region virtually in San Diego in the finals competition. So, so that's great. And, I'm so excited and proud of the women founders that we have here in DC. That's, they are developing some great businesses with, and really, really making at least in San Diego, they know if somebody from DC is coming to town for a pitch competition, that they better be on their toes, because it's going to be good. So
good. That's so awesome. So it sounds like there's some silver linings once coronavirus disappears. Is there anything that you'd like to see stay after coronavirus goes away?
Oh, absolutely. The connections virtually with the San Diego locations. I think that the value that we've gotten out of getting to know a lot of those members who it's really hard, even within our DC community, for people to get a chance to know each other and meet each other, because everybody works on a part-time schedule, or some people use conference rooms only, and some people are have a private office here. So a lot of times there are people who've been both members here for a while that haven't met, even if because they could, their schedules are just so different. And that's one of the real great things about it, is people have really been able to connect on a much more significant level with, the 300 or 400 other members that are part of the Hera Hub community in the Southern California area, which has been really great. There's some really dynamite women. And as I've gotten to know them better, it's just, that's been really the great thing. And I don't think that any one of us want to lose that part of it, because that's going to be really the power and the strength of becoming part of the Hera Hub community, that you're going to have this much broader network than just here in DC. So that you can be part of and call on. And some, it was one of my members here in DC had been struggling with her website, and she'd gone through 2 different people to help her, get her content updated and her website updated and making it more current. And she got frustrated, and I could see, because she's coming to a virtual co-working session, she was telling me, I just can't get this together. And then she came in and said, I found this great new website person. I said, where? Who is it? And she gave me her name. I said, oh my God, she's in San Diego. She said, I know. I went to the Hera Hub directory and I found her, and then I hired her. So, that's, that really makes me feel good. So I don't want to give that up at all, because I think that there's tremendous, tremendous value in that.
I agree. I love to see people, we're in our homes in somewhat of a smaller location, but thinking bigger and thinking more broadly. So I think that's fantastic. Well, yes. Julia, thank you so much for this special on my vacation edition of Business Unusual. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Oh, I'm delighted, and thank you. It's so wonderful to see you. And as I said earlier, I'm living vicariously through the scenery behind you, and can't wait for my vacation at some point in time soon. So.
Awesome. Yeah, you deserve it.
Okay, well, take care, Liz, and thanks so much.
See you next time on Business Unusual.
Okay, thank you.